Amidst the freezing Arctic wind, the map tile in Lila's hand trembled with every gust. Right in front of them stood a gloomy gray cliff, jagged with sharp slope bricks piercing straight into the sky. 3 piercing whistle blasts rang out, tearing through the silent air and echoing against the cold rock face. Grog's sled was roaring at full capacity, its wheels spinning wildly but stuck fast in a deep ice trench. Without hesitation, Frost and Fang dashed forward, using their sturdy heads to ram the back of the sled to rescue their boss. Grog hastily jumped off the sled, his eyes glued to the thermometer as the red line inside plummeted uncontrollably. Lila reached out and pointed straight at the misty mountain peak, shouting that the signal station was out of power and needed the Translite blue battery block immediately. In the heat of the moment, Rexy brought trouble upon himself when his curious tongue got stuck fast to an ice block. Grog had to sprint over, using the very plastic flower on his hard hat to painstakingly pry free Rexy's poor, whining tongue. Suddenly, the ground shook with heavy, thudding footsteps, making the tiny bricks bounce up and down on the snow. From behind a giant boulder, a long, lanky neck extended. It was Stomp. Heavy cracking sounds echoed from the dinosaur's neck joints, a sign that the cold was slowly freezing this massive body. Stomp bent down to look at his tiny friends, tilting his head entirely to one side with a pitifully goofy expression. Grog's eyes lit up. He cheered aloud as he realized he had just found a giant living crane. Lila quickly recalculated on her map, but then shook her head in frustration because Stomp was still 10 brick meters shorter than the mountain peak. Grog's gaze swept over the scattered components, and a crazy idea flashed. They would build an entire scaffolding system right on their new friend's back. A sudden sneeze from Stomp created a strong gust of wind, blowing away Grog's familiar leopard print loincloth. While Grog fumbled to grab his clothes, Fang snatched the loincloth in his jaws, running around teasingly with pure excitement. Lila sternly tapped her whistle on Fang's head, reminding the whole gang to get serious before they all turned into literal popsicles. The order was given, and the team immediately scrambled to gather all the loose bricks at Stomp's feet. Grog carefully placed the sturdiest base plate onto the broad back of his long-necked pal. A ticklish feeling made Stomp stomp his left foot hard, a stomp that nearly turned Rexy into a flat rug. In another corner, Frost and Fang displayed absolute teamwork as they used their jaws together to hold the longest beams tight. Lila stood up high, blowing her whistle to count a steady rhythm so every assembly move was precise. Every connector pin snapped into place, creating crisp and reassuring clicking sounds. Rexy wanted to help too. He used his massive head to laboriously bulldoze a large pile of bricks toward Grog. An unlucky red brick got wedged right into the gap under Rexy's proud foot. The brick stuck fast and wouldn't let go, forcing the tyrant dinosaur to hop around on one foot, looking incredibly awkward. Ignoring the chaos below, Grog gripped the chain system tightly, nimbly climbing up along Stomp's neck. Stomp's attention suddenly caught a mechanical butterfly, and his long neck began to sway back and forth to the rhythm of its wings. On top of the neck, Grog clung on desperately, screaming for Stomp to stand still, because the world around him was spinning. Lila quickly changed her whistle rhythm to a very soothing melody, the sound slowly calming and helping Stomp regain his composure. As the minutes ticked by, the structure on Stomp's back had toweringly grown 5 stories higher. Fang eagerly climbed up to help, but missed a step, dangling in midair and hanging on only by his saber teeth buried deep in a crossbeam. Quick as lightning, Frost stretched out, using his flexible leg joints to firmly bite his little brother's tail and haul him straight up to the safety platform. On the highest level, Grog carefully placed the energy battery block into the center of the spring-loaded launcher. The spring mechanism was pressed down tightly, the metal coils screeching with squeaky, tension-filled sounds. The sand in Lila's hourglass was down to a thin layer. The countdown until the blizzard hit was only 2 minutes. A biting, bone-chilling gust of wind whipped across the mountainside, making the entire scaffolding structure shake and sway. Rexy immediately rushed over, pressing his massive back against the base of the scaffolding to act as a living pillar. The heavy weight bearing down on his shoulders made Stomp start to ache, and he groaned with exhausted grunts. Grog pressed his hands closely to the top of Stomp's head, constantly petting and encouraging his giant friend to push just a little bit more. Everything seemed complete until Lila discovered that the blue locking pin, the most important piece of the launcher, had vanished. The whole team fell into a panic, digging wildly through the thick snow to find the tiny, life-saving pin. No one could have guessed that the priceless pin was neatly snagged right on the plastic flower petal attached to Grog's orange hat. Grog blankly took the pin down, his face showing clear, silly astonishment at the irony of the situation. The pin was slammed hard into the axle, a solid click ringing out to lock the entire safety system tight. The blizzard finally hit. Pure white ice pellets caught in the wind whipping straight into the team's faces. Lila's shout rang out clearly amidst the howling wind, ordering everyone to scatter and fall back to their battle positions. Frost and Fang bit down hard on both ends of the backup pull cord, their muscles tensed tight. Stomp took a deep breath to build momentum, his belly swelling up and accidentally pushing the entire scaffolding into a gradual tilt. Grog regained his balance on top of Stomp's head, both hands gripping his horns tightly to avoid being bucked off. Lila swung her whistle high, beginning the life or death countdown. 3, 2! Rexy braced himself, the brick layers on his bright red calves bulging out from the intense pressure. 1, launch! Stomp's head shot forward by reflex, a neck-stretching lunge at terrifying speed tearing through the wind. Extreme inertia jerked Grog violently backward. Luckily, his leopard print loincloth caught on an iron hook, saving him from plummeting into the abyss. The launcher activated, the glowing battery block shot high up into the pitch-black sky. Dozens of eyes on the ground held their breath, tracking the spinning trajectory of the energy block soaring through midair. The trajectory was slightly off. The battery block grazed past the edge of the mountain peak, risking a slip down into the chasm on the other side. In a moment of despair, Stomp noticed the problem and summoned all his strength to stretch out one secret hidden joint notch at the very base of his cervical spine. Stomp's head reached out just in time, nudging the battery block with just enough force to correct it back onto the right path. The energy block free fell and slotted with absolute precision right into the signal station's receiver slot. The space fell into absolute silence for a single second that stretched out like an eternity. Boom! A brilliant cyan pillar of light erupted from the mountain peak, completely dispelling the dense darkness of the polar region. The underground heating core powered up, vibrating intensely, making the ice and snow around the base of the mountain begin to melt. Grog free fell from high above, landing accurately with a loud thud right in the middle of Rexy's soft back. Hit suddenly by the heavy weight, Rexy let out a yelp, then rolled up in a ball on the snow from the stinging pain. Lila dashed over and wrapped her arms fully around Stomp's neck, shouting proudly in praise of their giant friend. Frost and Fang continuously danced and ran around in circles, barking out joyous woof-woof sounds distinctive to brick-built tigers. When he stepped down onto solid ground, Grog finally realized his hard hat had been pitifully knocked entirely to one side. The plastic flower attached to his hat, after all the storms and trials, had broken off a petal, yet it still spun around resiliently. Stomp fumbled around trying to retract his neck, but the excessively powerful lunge from earlier had jammed his connecting joints completely. The consequence was that Stomp's magnificent neck was now locked tightly into an S-shaped curve, unable to budge. Grog brought out his specialized wooden hammer, carefully tapping gentle, rhythmic beats onto the joint pinpoints to loosen the structure. With every tap of the hammerhead, the trapped air escaping from the jammed joints created a melodious sound, much like a saxophone. Lila laughed uncontrollably. She brought her whistle to her lips and blew trills in time with Stomp's comedic rhythm. Not too far away, Rexy had just dug up an ice block shaped like a bone and was chewing on it passionately. The ice block slowly melted away, revealing the true prize inside, an unfortunate small fish that had been frozen a long time ago. Catching the scent of food, Fong immediately lunged over to snatch it, igniting a circular chase around Stomp's feet. The constant movement beneath his feet made Stomp dizzy. He stumbled and crashed down onto the snowy ground with a huge thud. Grog nimbly climbed up and sprawled lazily right on the tip of Stomp's snout, taking a deep breath and letting out a sigh of relief. Lila flattened out the map, using a sparkling gold brick to check off the gray mountain peak icon. The night sky had cleared of clouds. The stars, tens of thousands of tiny round tiles, began to twinkle high above. Grog looked at Stomp, cheekily promising that next time, he would custom design a plush seating system right on the top of his neck. Hearing that, Stomp panicked and shook his head furiously back and forth, tossing Grog soaring straight into a soft, fluffy pile of snow. All the members gathered closely together at the foot of the mountain, enjoying the soothing cyan light radiating from the signal station. The camera lens slowly pulled back, revealing an entire majestic Ice Age landscape now blazing with vibrant colors. The brick blocks automatically shifted in midair, stacking upon one another to form the title text, honoring this high-speed masterpiece. A curious little bird landed right on the tip of Grog's nose, making him let out a thunderous sneeze, closing the frame as it faded to black.